One of the most powerful ways to process pain is through creativity and through that raw emotional expression. I'm Natalie D'Adamio, and I'm going to talk about something a little controversial. There's this myth out there that to make art, or even to live well, that we have to feel good all the time and be happy. Which, I mean, I love happiness and laughing and the joy of a moment. But at the same time, we know that it's not true. You can't just be one note all the time. And sorrow comes and grief comes. And even when you look around with the weight of the world, you can see that, sometimes you wonder why is that happening, and you feel helpless and hopeless. So life hands us grief, it hands us heartbreak, it hands us sadness over the state of the world. And when those heavy emotions come, most of us are taught to hide them, numb them, or push them away. And so what if instead we gave them a place to move, and instead of silence our pain, we painted it. That's what I'm gonna do here, and go over some pointers like how to move into these emotional states. Like if you want to use it in your work and you don't want to maybe have to turn anything away. I found over the years it becomes more richer, sometimes a little scarier, when we dive into the moment. But when we can take this and run with it, we'll find ourselves moving freely. One of the most powerful ways to process pain is through creativity and through that raw emotional expression. To pick up a brush, to mark the paper, to let our emotions move through us and become something, moving from the inside out. So it's that internal feelings stay flowing up and out into the expression. And the mark in a moment. That's really powerful when we're looking at all the sides and not just narrowing the vision. We're opening up an infinite potential, and that's exciting. So what I refer to as painting your pain, it's all about transforming what hurts into energy, color, movement. We don't have to carry it all inside, but we don't have to pretend that it's not there either, right? It's almost like that suppression can lead to a depression over time. But the more we unwind and allow ourselves to come into the center of awareness, the more we're able to unleash. And this even moves into breaking rules, because when you're open up to all emotionality, so you'll be in this moment and you'll be like, this is like grief, say. And instead of shutting down, kind of open it up to that and explore how that looks in the process. So I have some pointers in relation to painting our pain. Number one, just let it be raw. Don't try to make it look pretty or right. Just move your hand, scribble, smear, pour. The goal is expression, right? Not perfection. I should mention in this case I'm using mixed media materials and paint. So it also could be draw out your pain, scribble out your pain. But just think of it as a mixed media, experimental, raw materials. I've always been so kinetic that I need to feel that tactile quality. Number two, name the feeling before or after, write it down or whisper to yourself, this is grief, this is anger, this is sadness. Giving it a name, it also allows you to like release it and identify it and come into a relationship with it. The tendency is to like, pretend this doesn't exist and that doesn't exist, and like kind of just be like, keep it like locked up here. But sometimes create a block or artistic block. That's where it is. It's actually in the hard stuff. So when we kind of dare to move into that mark in the moment in the feeling state, it can like open that internal door and creates more space in the body. So that brings me to pointer number 3. Use your body. Paint standing. Use both hands. Make big gestures. Let your whole body participate so the motion doesn't stay stuck inside. That's pretty important. Of course, if you're able to, so use as much as you're able to. I realize not everyone maybe can stand, but you could always sit and circle like bigger movements, and think about it, how to come into relation more with the body. It's kind of like a contact, like it's hitting through us, moving into this, like an energetic point. Awareness is really just going to give us more allowing. And sometimes you'll notice the breath is, you're holding it as you're marking, so you can always release into that more. So pointer number 4, try not to judge what comes out, and it might be hard depending on where you are. But remember that the canvas, the surface, the paper, it's just a container. It's kind of like a reflection bag. So the sadness, this grief, it's not really about what's good. It's about exploring that internal feeling state and putting some energy behind it. In this like emotional, intuitive, raw, abstract, expressive work, we're looking for that deeper layer. Because sometimes we could just stay up here, and that's fine, but like you want to hit into these like deeper pockets of awareness and experience, so that you're able to move more freely all the time. Most of the time. I don't want to say it's 100%. It's like just like living in art. We have good days and bad days, highs and lows, ups and downs, and sometimes it doesn't work out. There's always like a time and a place for changing the direction of something. Well, you're gonna have more freedom in the body. You're gonna like freely flow into the mark on the moment more. Number 5 is let it change you. And like just notice what you're feeling after you've like assigned it, maybe the color, the emotion, and you've come into the awareness. Oh shit! Oh, I just spilled that all over. It came out too fast. So that's a good example though. I'm gonna leave that part in because like I didn't want to do that, but it just happened. So maybe you can take, this thing that you didn't want to happen and use it anyway to your own advantage. Like create some kind of alchemy from the process. So, and you can ask yourself some questions in relation to letting it change you. Do you feel lighter? Did you discover possibly a new shape or color? Sometimes it's in those like micro moments, those spaces in between, where we find, the aha moment. That happens in art and it happens in living. You can't have to like allow yourself to open up to that. So when we're addressing the emotionality and entering into the awareness, we're giving ourselves more space to like say, it's okay if this doesn't work out, but I'm gonna see what's there anyway. Because you want to take the risk and dare to just explore that expression. And that gets powerful the more you repeat this over and over and over and over years. The same fear doesn't live there. Doesn't mean it's vanished entirely, but it's just changed energy, and it means you're more accustomed to seeing and looking and knowing like what that is. So for me, there have been plenty of times when I sat in front of the canvas or blank surface and felt completely flooded with the fear or too much sadness, too much loss, too much confusion. And eventually I realized, well, the surface, the canvas, the paper, it can hold it. The paper can hold it. The act of creating doesn't necessarily erase the pain. But over time, like I've noticed that the more you dare to go into those heavier, weightier emotions, it definitely starts to like switch and transform kind of on its own. We can open up to that divine flow and learn to let go. Over time, you come to find the more you open up to this emotionality, the more freedom you'll find. Yeah. But it might not be immediate. Good things take time, and slowly opening up to something can really be even more revealing. Oftentimes we're trying to rush to like a conclusion or an answer, but it's almost like allowing to be present in the confusion, in the sadness. It kind of opens up to these other emotional states that are kind of contained, like nesting inside of us. In a way, we've been gifting ourselves this moment of expression, which is kind of allowing us to move into the surrendering state even more. And it's definitely a practice, a process. So the next time you feel yourself carrying heavy emotions, encourage you to get curious, and maybe you would shut down, which I know that one all too well, but because that can happen. But when we like bring in the art and the creative process to these experiences and start to engage something like maybe we haven't addressed, and we do it through the art process, we just learn to come into this relationship with ourselves and the artworks. It's kind of like a tandem, a hybrid thing. It's the emotionality of the expression of the mark, but also living in the moment, open up more fully internally, which is a kind of an abstract idea, but eventually, the act of creating over time kind of becomes this alchemical reaction, and you realize you're releasing things and you're able to put it more and more of yourself into the work, and that's where the freedom states come from. Releasing all that emotionality, moving into the mark in the moment, letting the experience wash over you, inviting it in and making it your friend. It could be like a really powerful thing. I encourage you to explore the emotion that maybe you pushed away or disregarded or didn't think it really made sense in the work, or you maybe labeled, I only make this kind of work, like pretty art or something. But you're gonna find more of that raw power when you dive into these other things and pull them out and pull them through. Doesn't mean you'll stay with these emotions forever. This means you'll move it through and out. And then that's how you get to the, other side. So, pain outer pain is one way to look at it, because when we use all our emotionality, we really come back to the center of awarenesses. And we're able to express more freely that wild mark and have that moment, which I always say. But it's important to know that there's many layers to this process, and there's many ways to look at it. It's so personal and individual. And I wanted to say, if you haven't seen my solo show, Beautiful Mistake, from this past May, that definitely has more going on within the totality of it. So this is one segment, but it's so valid. It's equally valid to the whole process and practice of it all.